Welcome to the Behind the Bar podcast. Today we are joined by Jody Bennett and Michelle Tiller. Thank you for joining us. If you'd like to introduce yourselves a little bit more, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, hi, I'm Michelle. I'm the people partner for Brewhouse and Kitchen, so I work alongside Jody.
And I'm Jody Bennett, people director at Brewhouse and Kitchen, and worked there about 2.5 years.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today on an incredibly hot day.
Yeah.
Not the ideal day for filming, but you know, we'll work with it. It'd be wonderful. So, what is a people director?
Jump straight in with the hard
question.
I think my interpretation of people director is that I am kind of the coach, the counsel, the champion of the cheerleader, the 4 C's of making it a great place to work and a place where everyone feels that they can be themselves at work. So it's not necessarily my single-handed role to drive that culture, but it is to coach and, like I say, counsel the senior leadership team, you know, and that funnel effect all the way through to all colleagues so that they enjoy what they do. But I think a massive part of my role as well is kind of making sure that we're really safe and legally compliant as well. So protecting our business and our colleagues. So whether that's, you know, from employment law aspects or whether that's from training, making sure that, you know, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. But making sure as well that nothing happens within our business that's brand damaging or that can result in any kind of fines or imprisonment. So it's kind of a bit of protecting the business, but driving that culture as well.
And so this isn't a title that I've heard before I met you. Didn't know it was a job, didn't know it was an official title or anything. Is it something that is just a brewhouse thing, or is it something that's within the industry?
Yeah, so it's definitely kind of changing with the times. So when I started out working, it was known as a personnel manager or personnel director, and then evolved to human resources. So you'll probably be more familiar with an HR director title. But now the role has evolved. So it's very much more about, culture and engagement and communication and great place to work and well-being. Whereas my view, in the past, HR has been very kind of administrative, very operational, very protecting and, you know, making sure you've got those hard, robust processes in place, which is absolutely still part of my role. However, now it's more focused with the people coming first.
Your role sounds more fun than just if you're just
100%.
Everyone thinks HR just not as exciting. And so Brewhouse and Kitchen itself, wonderful company. If you've ever been to one of their businesses, their pubs, are they pubs? Is that what you call them?
We call them brew pubs because we have a brewery in every single pub. So yeah, we brew our own beer.
Recently went to one in Southbourne. Incredible. I just got lost. Like, it was so big. I was like, where is everything? There was so much going on, and it's like the fact that you can see the brewery side of it while you're eating, and the food, incredible. Great place. What is it about their company that you like working for? Obviously, you've been there slightly longer, I believe, than Michelle. So
yeah, I think first and foremost, it's always going to be about the people. So I love the team that I work with Michelle and Cherie, which is, you know, we are a strong team. But actually, it's the strong team across the whole business. So as a people team, we work really closely with our operations team. And that relationship is so key to the success. So first and foremost, it's always going to be about the people. I like as well, like our USP as well, the fact that we do brew our own beer in every single pub. And, you know, that means an extra role within that makes us a bit different in hospitality, that we can recruit 20 odd brewers as well. So yeah, that's probably what I would say most.
What about you, Michelle?
Well, for me, I mean, I came out of a long career in retail, and you know, hospitality has a lot of transferable skills. And what drew me to Brewhouse and Kitchen was, I'd worked at one of the pubs before it was Brewhouse and Kitchen, so it kind of just sort of felt it was meant to be back in the day. But actually, you know, it's the people first element. You know, we do truly put people first, like whether we're looking at an operational, you know, strategy or whatever, or whether it's us as a people team. And like Jody said, you know, the fact we brew our own beer, a little bit different, a bit more interesting and exciting.
So you said you've worked in pubs before. Is that what sort of made you go done with retail or move to hospitality? Was that sort of, or was it just a change in direction?
It was purely a change in direction. I took redundancy from retail, and actually, like I said, very similar industries, although hospitality is a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Perfect. Have you worked in pubs, Jody?
I have. So I did it as a second job about 20 odd years ago. So I would work full time as a customer service manager in retail, and then it's kind of 3 or 4 evenings a week or days off I would go and work in a pub, the Snooty Fox in Newbury.
Good name.
So yeah,
Yeah.
good name.
What was your favourite thing about working in pubs?
Oh gosh, getting to know people. It is a social, like Michelle said, it's a social element of it. Just not just the team that you're working with, but you get to know your guests and your regulars, and it is really fun. And it's a massive builder on confidence as well. You don't have to be an extrovert to work in a pub, but it definitely helps you with your communication skills, your customer service, you know, everything like that. And it's just a really good place to work.
I agree. I work in a pub every now and then. It's also a nice change.
Yeah.
Like not sitting behind a desk all day.
Exactly.
It's definitely a bonus factor to that. So, Michelle, you're on an apprenticeship, aren't you?
Yeah.
What is the apprenticeship that you're doing?
So I'm doing a community health and wellbeing champion apprenticeship.
Which I believe is completely new to the industry.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that attracted me to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a couple of elements. You know, as people leaders, we rarely put ourselves first with our own development. We're always very focused on other people. So it's great that Brewhouse and Kitchen gave me the opportunity to do something for me.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it was a bit of a trailblazer as well for the industry to see, you know, what sort of population of our people it may sort of suit and help develop. But I've learned a lot from it. It's nice to go back to learning most of the time. And it's kind of reinforced skills that I've got, and also kind of broadened my mind a little bit, and you know, given me some maybe more up-to-date ways of thinking, I guess, around health and well-being. So,
How did it come about? Did they just go, oh, we've got this, do you fancy doing it? Or I'm sure there's probably a lot more paperwork and stuff involved. But
Well, yeah, my boss.
We need to lead with this. Do it.
Yeah. At the time, if I remember rightly, we've been doing quite a lot of work with So Let's Talk, and looking at, you know, our wellbeing strategy and things like that. And I think it just kind of all sort of came together. You know, working with Be Ready, who do the apprenticeship. And it just looked really interesting, exciting and different. And it's nice to be able to offer people in our business and in our industry something different. So that's why I wanted to try
and
it.
do you do days in college? Like how does it work itself? Is it all business led?
Yeah, so a lot of it is on the job. So things that I do every day, you just don't necessarily realise it. So it kind of opens your mind a little bit to what you do. And then, so it's a couple of hours a week. Learning, I do some workshops, I do sort of masterclasses around different subject matters, and then do my assignments.
And during Michelle's learning time, we've made quite big, substantial changes within Brewhouse and Kitchen around people's well-being. So, for example, we've given free team meals to everyone on every shift, irrespective of the number of hours that you work. And we've just removed...
That's
pretty
quite
impressive.
rare. Yeah.
It's quite rare, but it's...
Yeah.
and these are hot, substantial meals as well. And we've also reduced all of our salaried contracts down from 48 to 40. So it's... which has been really welcomed.
And these things that you've noticed by doing the work, you realise that you need to add this in, or if like
well, it's all
changes.
worked towards Michelle's apprenticeship and her learning hours as well. And Michelle's learning has supported the journey and the transition of those two changes as well.
And how has that changed? Like, what difference has it made within the company? Because I imagine getting the free meals and makes a huge difference.
Yeah, massive.
Completely, yeah. So we hold team forums, myself and Chris Gumbrella, our CEO, and a representative from each brew pub will meet with us, and they said massive change. You know, they are so grateful for it. And, you know, we have less than 5% vacancies. We have for quite a while now.
That's huge.
which is
Well,
huge.
it's small, but it's huge.
Yeah, last industry statistics was around 11%. We're consistently about 3 to 4%. So, we'd like to think those little changes make a massive difference. We've just recruited a new manager into the business. One of the biggest reasons they've joined us is because of a 40-hour contract.
Which is a huge benefit.
Completely.
And you guys run that too, like the 40 hours. Does that benefit you guys?
Yeah, there's a bit of give and take there. Flexible working.
And I know from you've applied for our NETAs awards and things that apprenticeships is a huge thing within the business.
Yeah.
Is it still huge? Are you still boosting that? What does it all look like?
Well, Brewhouse and Kitchen have always been part of the trailblazer for the brewing apprenticeship. So we've always got a handful of brewing apprenticeship level 4s studying with us, which is fantastic. But in the last 2 years, we've really driven our apprenticeships. We have about 12, 14 core apprenticeships that we offer. And we've seen massive success, well over sort of in the last 18 months, 23 people have graduated. Well over half of them have received distinctions.
That's huge.
Really good. We think we've got 21 brew pubs. So that's fantastic. It's 5% and of our workforce. And we're committed to the 5% club, which is that we will have a minimum of 5% of our workforce on an apprenticeship at any one time. So that is our target, and that's what drives us as well. But once again, we're lucky to work with a leader in Chris who is heavily invested in educational opportunities and apprenticeships. We've got a fantastic relationship with Accor, who gift us their levy so that we can afford... We're levy paying anyway, but it gives us the money to pay for everyone else. And it's a real benefit for the individuals as well. It's earn and learn. Why pay 30 odd grand to go to university when you can come and work with us, get paid and not have a penny of debt in relation to your study?
Yeah, I've just started a degree on my own, and my debt is it's scary.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, obviously I think a lot of people, and it has changed recently, but when people think of apprenticeships, they think a mechanic. They think hospitality is not the first thing you think of when you think of apprenticeships. If you were trying to explain to someone what an apprenticeship in hospitality was, how would you explain?
So it's basically gaining a qualification in the job that you're doing. So a massive part of an apprenticeship is by doing the job and gaining qualification at the end of it. You have learning hours, but those learning hours could be, learning a new technical skill or a new theory to something. You're learning more through others. So whether it's a trainer through your training provider supporting you, or whether it's a mentor from someone in the industry who, is an expert in that field that you're studying, you're learning from others. And ultimately, it's a great networking opportunity as well, because you're going on a journey with others who are also completing those apprenticeships too. But I think it gives you more skills than kind of what you would learn just by doing the job. It really stretches your kind of theory and knowledge and those insights to make you an expert and kind of support your career development, really.
Would you say the same? Or?
Yeah, it certainly stretches you to, look a bit further, look beyond what you would just do day to day in your job. And, the one thing apart from my own personal development, the one thing I've really noticed about doing an apprenticeship myself is that, some people in the business are looking at me and like, oh, well, Michelle's doing one. So actually, they really are for everybody. I'm not in that 18 to 24 age group, which there's still that little bit of a myth around, I think. Actually there is something for everybody. And the range of apprenticeships that we've got colleagues doing is just so good to see. It's fabulous to see, and like Jody said, the amount of distinctions recently, I'm kind of feeling the pressure from my EPA.
Any achievement is a great achievement.
We've had some fabulous achievements, and it's just so great to celebrate with those individuals, because it just means so much.
You'll have to have like a graduation party in one of the brew houses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have a brew ball every November where the whole team come together for like a night at the Oscars kind of feel.
That's cool.
So we'll invite apprentices along
Awesome.
to that as well.
And why would you say apprenticeships are so important, especially like at the moment with, like you said, the debt is one thing.
Oh, for that, exactly. For the debt, I think because of the skills that it gives you, the insights for the role that you're doing and the wider industry, it gives you career development. It can put you on that career pathway for life. Networking, there's so many opportunities and reasons for doing one.
Anything to add to that? Or?
I just think, why wouldn't you do an apprenticeship really now? I've got one son that's at university doing very well, but then I've got another son who's been working and doing kind of like that apprenticeship journey, and he's earning money, he's saving for his house. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. Whereas my younger son, who's at uni, loving the uni life and what have you,
Don't they all?
but has no money, has not been, can't start that saving journey until he finishes uni. So there's pros and cons, I suppose, but there's so many apprenticeships out there now. It's like, why would you not look at that route?
And Michelle makes a really valid point there as well, that actually this is learning on the job. So you're not studying for years and years to then go and put your learnings to practical use. You're practically learning that job as you go along. So you're actually going to get to your end goal quicker because you're mixing the practical and the theory together.
I think that's a good point. So a lot of my friends in uni, they studied what they wanted to study, but they've come out and they work in completely different industry because of they couldn't get the job that they wanted. Whereas if you're learning on the job, a lot of apprenticeships will then stay and join the company, won't they?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know if you're with Brewhouse, it's you learn and you do this and then you'll step into this role. I think a lot of companies are like that.
It's interesting because that's a massive myth buster we've had to work through recently as well, which is, why would I do an apprenticeship when I've already got A levels, or I've already got a degree, or why would I do a level 2 if I've got my GCSEs? But actually you haven't got them in hospitality, you haven't got them in that supervisory capacity, or as a commie chef, or as a brewer. So an apprenticeship will give you those skills and that theory.
And also while you're working in the pubs and the thing, that it will boost your confidence, like working in hospitality and retail.
Yeah.
The customer facing role is a huge thing, I think, as well.
Oh
So
yeah,
adding
don't
that
underestimate
to
the life skills that you learn along the way. Which
there's a lot of life skills to be
equally
learned
important,
working
yeah.
behind a bar, especially.
Yeah.
Whether you wanted to hear them or not, I think there's a lot of things that you may learn. But yeah, I think it definitely boosts people's confidence and things. And I'm assuming you're happy to talk about it. In our BI News magazine, Jody, I recently did an interview and no one knew this. I think you're such a confident person. You're really... I think a lot of people see you as quite an important female role in the industry, but you were non-verbal for a very long time, weren't you?
I was. Look, literally goosebumps have just gone up my arm because it's not a story that I have shared.
And kudos for you for sharing it. It's an incredible story, and I think people need to hear more of these stories.
Yeah.
But how did it feel sharing it to start with?
Yeah.
I imagine it's...
You kind of go through that emotions of, should I be sharing this? Because actually, what perception about me is it going to share across the industry? Are people going to look at me and go, oh God, she's not very intelligent, is she? Or she's not well educated? But then I thought, I really don't care. If anyone thinks like that towards me, then it's not someone's opinion I value at all anyway. So if I could inspire just one person with my story for them to go, well, if Jody's achieved it and that's her journey, then that's my aspiration. I'm going to go for it as well.
And for those of them that may not have read the magazine, which is very bad, they should read the magazine.
Yes, you should read it.
If you don't mind going into a little bit of detail.
Yeah, so I was non-verbal or incredibly shy child. So I couldn't talk properly till I was 7 years old. One, because of shyness, but two, because I had an elder sister that if I spoke or tried to speak, she'd talk for me. So I didn't need to learn to talk because she understood my interpretation of words or meanings or gestures. So if I needed a drink, I didn't have to learn to ask for a drink because my sister would cotton on and doing it for me. So there's a little bit of laziness in that backstory as well. But I am incredibly shy, wasn't assertive child at all. So I used to go to speech therapy every single week as well. And even now, when I'm quite anxious or I'm really tired, you can hear it in my words and my voice. I muddle up words. I kind of not slur a little bit, but I feel it in my vocabulary.
Yeah.
Where when I'm in those moments. But yeah, so at school, I never struggled at school. I just didn't enjoy school.
Yeah.
It wasn't the environment in which I kind of look back and go, what's the best days of my life? Because for me, it wasn't. I did what I had to do. But, one particular teacher did say to me, Jody, you're not assertive enough. You're not confident enough. You're not trying hard enough. You're going to amount to nothing. And you're going to spend the rest of your life working in a supermarket. And, back in those days...
How old were you at the time?
I was 15.
Delightful.
Yeah, 14, 15. And yeah, you kind of go, well, you're a really influential person in my life. You're my teacher. So I'm going to do what you've just told me to do. So actually, when I finish school, I'm going to go and get a job in a supermarket because, that's what...
Yeah, that's what they've told you.
That's what they've told me to do. But the difference between the reality of working in that supermarket and the teacher's perception of working in that supermarket are very different. His perception was it was a dead-end job that I would just be stuck in because that's all I was good enough for. Whereas for me, it was the making of me. Joining there at 16 years old, staying there for 22 years in very different roles across different areas of a massive, business, FTSE 100 company, 180,000 employees. But it gave me all of the leadership capability, the personal development, the qualifications, the education. I call it my upbringing because it gave me everything I needed and put me on the path to where I am today.
It's impressive, and like I said, impressive for sharing it. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would appreciate it, and from that, like you said, if you changed one person's perspective on anything or the fact that they can talk about it. I used to have speech therapy when I was a kid, and my brother still teases me about it because...
Oh, bless you. My husband always says I now make up for it a lot because I don't stop talking.
Which is completely acceptable. So, obviously, you're both working on the same team, both working together. I mean, Taya, who was the wonderful editor behind these... there's other people in the team who will probably moan at me for not mentioning them, but Taya currently is probably editing this podcast. Working together, you have some good times, you have some bad times. Do you have any funny stories to tell us of working together?
Funny. Shall I go? I think, literally, Michelle's right. It's like literally every day is probably a head in hands moment for us. Kind of, well, not every day is an exaggeration, but quite often like head in hands where we probably don't know whether to laugh or cry, but we always see the positive in everything and it normally ends up in a good old laugh. But we do have a lot of fun together. I love working with Michelle, and it's really important to have that team where you can trust wholeheartedly. And what she's done and the changes that she's brought to Brewhouse and Kitchen is phenomenal. But we really...
Noted, write it down.
Appraisal time. But we have a lot of fun actually around this time of year because this is where we start doing our awards applications. So we have a lot of fun at awards night. So NETAs,
Are you entering?
We are.
Yeah,
we are entering. We have a few categories that we're going to probably go for. But yeah, NETAs and any awards that we've been fortunate to be finalists in or win, they're always a great fun night as well. And we bring the team along as well. It's not just me and Michelle rocking up.
Yeah. It does bring the team together, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's fun for everyone.
If you've been with a Brewhouse for 2 years, when did you start your apprenticeship?
I started it December last year.
And how long is the course?
I'm nearly finished, actually. I'm doing really well. So it is sort of up to 18 months. But
one you can do in your own time. And
yeah, I'm looking at EPA sort of December, January time. So it'll be about 12 months for me, yeah.
With a distinction and everything. And
well...
A pass is
yes.
still fantastic. It's an achievement.
I will do my best.
So once you finish, you said you finish around December, January time?
Yeah.
What's the next plans? Would you look at doing more?
Good question. Do you know, I haven't done any studying. Well, I couldn't wait to leave school and go to work. And I did an MVQ when I left school, so the equivalent to kind of today's apprenticeships. And then I did my CIPD at night school. But since then, I haven't done any studying because I've been you know, working, bring up my family, etc. And I suppose what this apprenticeship has done is you know, I love talking to people about it because I want to try and inspire others, whether it's the same apprenticeship or, you know, just to do an apprenticeship or just, you know, some form of development. But it's made me think about, okay, well, what am I going to do next for me? Because it kind of sort of switches a light on, I suppose. And I've spent so long, you know, doing things for my family or in a people role, you know, thinking about who am I going to develop next, that it's very easy to forget about yourself. So, yeah, I will be looking at what can I do next.
What's the next step? Where can you go with it?
Yeah.
That's lovely to hear. Back to the awards. What's the feeling you get when you win one of the awards? Obviously, like, if some of them you enter as personal, some of them you enter as a whole team. What is the feeling? Because some people, we spoke to a lady who she did cocktail awards. Didn't know that was a thing. She's like, not world champion. I don't know if that's quite the same, but very prestigious awards in cocktails. But people don't realise that within hospitality, you can win awards, you can get recognition and things. So what does it mean when you win one of the awards?
Pride. Naturally, because it's really nice for people to recognise that you're doing something good. A little bit of excitement and lots of shrieking. I'm the worst for that. You normally hear me before you see me anyway, but so lots of celebration. It just it reaffirms that you're doing the right thing, and that other companies recognise, and other, you know, judges, people recognise that you're doing the right thing. And yeah, it kind of challenges you to go that one step further next time, because like, you've done that, you've nailed that. What can I strive to achieve to win the next award and then the next award?
So how did you even get into hospitality? That's a big question, I know. Like,
yeah, I didn't plan it. I worked for 2 big retail businesses over the time, and I chose to take redundancy. I was brave and I thought, I want to try something different. Wasn't sure what that was. Yeah, when I saw the advert for Brewhouse and Kitchen, I was a bit like, oh wow, I need to apply for that. That just looks like me. It looks fun. Like I said, I'd worked in what is now a Brewhouse and Kitchen when I was younger, met my husband there. It kind of just felt like it was meant to be. So yeah, and do you know what I love about hospitality is that everyone looks out for each other, not just within the company you work for, but within the industry. Everyone looks out for each other and shares ideas and helps each other. And in retail, you would never have, like, Sainsbury's and Tesco working together for the good of retail. Well, I certainly never saw that. Whereas, you know, in hospitality, like, just everyone looks out for each other.
Everyone comes together, don't you?
Yeah.
100%, yeah.
A lot of things are like, when you win the awards, it's not someone goes, oh, they did better than us. They look at the idea and they go, why aren't we doing that?
Yeah.
Completely.
I think everyone communicates together, they collaborate. It's such
Yeah.
a collaborative industry, which I think is really nice.
And that's one thing I love about the awards, is that you then start talking to people that you didn't know, you know, and you learn something about them and their business because someone's coming up to you and congratulating you and talking to you about what you've done. And then it just grows and grows and grows from there.
Yeah,
so.
the networking side of it is huge
Yeah,
as well, isn't it?
Completely.
Yeah.
I mean, we work with a lot of trades bodies, but obviously other pub companies as well, where I sit on committee meetings and my peers will say, you know, what are you doing in this situation? What are you doing here? And especially with a new Labour government, with all the employment law proposal changes, like, are you prepared for this? How are you doing that? And it's so nice to just be able to kind of, you know, shoot the breeze and just discuss.
It's not like they're
and there's no secrets.
No.
It's not. I'm not telling you that I've got no 0-hour contracts.
You don't have anything on your brewhouse that says like this price kept, like a bit like Aldi and the.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So how did you get into hospitality?
Yeah, so 22 years, like I said, with one retail company, and I'd had a year off maternity with my second son, and went back, and I was like, do you know, I'm not sure that I'm learning anything new. So I was able to take voluntary redundancy as well, and that was in the December 18. And the plan was, I was loved being at home, 2 young boys. I was going to take another year, 18 months off work, and literally a month later I was headhunted for a hospitality company. So that spring I started as head of people at the Liberation Group. So I worked with them for just over 2 years and left there in the summer of 21. And between leaving them and joining Brewhouse and Kitchen, I did a period of study because, like Michelle said earlier, very rarely do people leaders really invest in their own learning and development. So I did my neuro-linguistic programming, practitioner hypnosis and timeline therapy.
What does that mean? How do you remember that?
She can read your mind.
Yeah.
Knows I'm hungry.
So NLP, known in short, but neuro-linguistic programming, is very much a kind of psychological approach with the aim to understand how people communicate and kind of people's experiences in life. So it kind of teaches you how people think, how people behave.
Which in your role is
vital.
ideal, yeah.
The language that people use to really interpret how people feel and think, and those kind of understanding your kind of conscious mind versus your unconscious mind and those limiting beliefs. So it's almost a form of therapy as well. But and with timeline therapy, it's exactly that. It's you don't dig deep into past trauma. You go back to a point in time before and kind of erase any negative emotion. So yeah, it's quite
Really
deep.
interesting.
Really deep, absolutely, but really fascinating and a massive game changer for me. It completely changed my perception. Very much what you focus on is what you get. And yeah, it came at a helpful time in my life, and it's something I'd like to progress further and do more of with my masters in NLP as well.
And that's where you came to Brew.
Yeah, so I did that period of study, then joined Brewhouse and Kitchen in November 21. Been here ever since. Yeah.
Wonderful. If you had to choose an apprenticeship to do now, obviously you are doing one, so we'll pretend you finished that one, passed it, smashed it. What would you choose to do?
Probably something along the same lines, but probably similar to what Jody's described, maybe looking at NLP. Done a little bit of NLP over the years, but, really kind of doing it properly, I suppose, rather than bits of it. But, something still along the wellbeing lines. I think there's so much more there.
Yeah.
For me.
Jody?
Coaching. I'd definitely really like to kind of master my skills around coaching and see where that takes me. And there are some fantastic coaching apprenticeships available to our industry right now. So who knows? I may sign up.
I think I'd choose brewing.
Would you? Brewhouse and Kitchen.
Yeah.
Come along, trailblazers.
I'm trying to do a degree and work full time as it is. It's too much. So one thing we do with our podcast is that the person before you has given us a question to ask you, and then we'll get some questions of you to ask the next people.
Oh gosh.
Bit of fun. So a question I have for you, and you can both answer this. If you owned a pub, what would you name it and why?
Do you know what? I'm just going to go really corny, like stick to the name and like the Bennett's Brewhouse.
I like that.
Bennett's Brewhouse.
Bold.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that. Michelle's like,
I have no idea.
Tilla's Tap Room.
Tilla's Tap Room,
There you go.
It's kind of like they should be next to each other.
Yes.
Yes, we'll be in competition.
We start the night with, it's not a competition, are we?
Because we work together in
Yeah.
hospitality. We will.
There would be slight competition though. You do like the early shift and then the late shift.
Yeah.
I'll be brewing it and supplying it to you in your tap room. So
Of course, yeah, good plan.
I like that plan. That's a good name. So thank you so much for joining us, especially on this hot day. And yeah, we look forward to seeing your entries for NETAs and everything.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.